Hey, welcome to Go M.A.D with Doug and Brad and Jesse. So, can you know God's will? And if you can, how do you know it? Well, we're hoping as you hear some of our story today, you'll hear some things that you can apply to your story. Also, excitingly enough, what kind of SPF to use when your skin is so light like this that it glows in the dark after being in the sun for 8 minutes. So, stick around.
Do you guys have any like summer memories or things you're even looking forward to this? Like what's a core? They say core memories. What's a
Burns.
Okay.
Sunburns.
Sunburns.
Got it.
Wow.
Context.
Yeah.
I have to be very careful in the summer.
You do. You're quite pasty. I'm sorry.
And this is me with a tan. I use SPF 43,000. You may not have, you might go, oh, they don't sell that. They do, but you have to climb up a Tibetan mountain.
Wow.
About 6,000 feet up, there's a guy.
selling
it out of his trunk.
Wait.
And,
so
right?
there's a guy who's driven.
I don't know how he got it
you
up
have to
there.
walk.
Yeah.
And you have to walk.
Your story is full of holes right now.
I don't. But basically, if I walk out to get our mail in the front yard, I come back and Anna's like, "You are sizzling. What happened?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm hot." No. Yes, but it's because your skin is.
Yeah, you know what? The sunburn was a problem for me because growing up, I've never been the most even when I was in better shape and everything, never been the most secure with the shirt off kind of guy, like walking, strutting around the beach. So I would have on at least like kind of those, they were called when I was growing up in New Jersey, guinea tees. So you had like kind of the sleeveless shirts and everything else.
We can't help what they were called.
No, I don't even know. They still may be called that.
It's probably named after guinea pigs.
But but that would leave when you got burned. The tan line was the worst. It was like then you have no choice. You can't take off the shirt because it's like, no, I will look like a fool. That
kind of sounds like a good country song. Never been too secure with my shirt off. Now I am.
Quick.
My wife says after winter, my legs are so white that she's convinced she can actually see through them.
Wow. I'm actually grateful they're behind the table right now. At least
Jesse,
for me.
what about you? You're not you kind of have the Brad said pasty.
No, he's less so than us, but yeah.
Yeah, summer. I don't know why I just thought of this. Do y'all remember Tomahawk Lake in New Jersey?
I don't.
Okay. Well, so you just mentioned summer core memories, and I just remember going to this lake that had these water slides, and it's probably before like water slide regulations were set in place in terms of safety and stuff.
Right in the 80s, right, or 90s, regulations.
Yeah. It was like kind of just basically my memory of these water slides was, this is awesome, and it's probably not safe, and it probably doesn't exist today as it was. But man, they went fast.
It sounds like the Action Park.
Yes,
I was going to say he grew up
water slides.
He grew up near Action Park, so this was right in line with that. If you don't know Action Park, just Google it.
Yeah.
We don't have time right now.
But stuff.
It's incredible.
It's why there are rules now. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And lawyers.
So I actually, I've got a lot of great memories from the summer, but for the last over 30 years, my summer, I'm going to do air quotes for those who are not watching, vacation.
My summer
vacation has been the same thing. I hop in an RV with my family, and
it's better
I
just to
travel
or sit in it.
Nope, I hop. That's why we have an RV. And
am I being helpful right now?
You are not. We travel with a team of Native American young people called the On Eagles Wings team.
Awesome thing,
and
man.
We'll get to talk, I think, more this summer later about the On Eagles Wings Hope team. But it all starts with Warrior Leadership Summit, which is a conference where we welcome hundreds, over 500, sometimes up to 700 Native young people from across North America. And they come together for 5 days of just hearing more about who Jesus is, how they can live for him, just incredible
Realizing
results.
that they're not alone.
Yeah,
They can feel
their
very
real
alone
identity
in their
too.
faith.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's an incredible few days together. That kicks off just a few days after this podcast will launch, and we are so excited to see what God's going to do this year.
So you're saying WLS, I've kind of always have looked at Warrior Leadership Summit as like the seed of On Eagle's Wings, because so many times the On Eagle's Wings team members come out of Warrior Leadership Summit because of something amazing God has done in their heart there.
True.
And then on this team for a month that is going and sharing the reason some people have used the words missions history because of the courage of these Native young people that are going and sharing with their own people
That's right.
about Jesus. And that's why amazing things are happening because of their courage. So Warrior Leadership Summit is just an amazing place. It's so awesome seeing our Native brothers and sisters in Christ realizing they're not alone. They can feel very alone on on a reservation or in a Native community that might not know a lot about Jesus.
Yeah, and we're going to zoom in a little bit on one aspect of Warrior Leadership Summit today because it ties into both your guys' stories some. This is we've had incredible teaching at Warrior Leadership Summit for years, and that's a core part of what we do. But also along with that is setting the stage through worship. And so we've had different worship teams through the years. Doug, you've always been a key part of helping lead worship at WLS. But then a few years ago, we started using the phrase warrior worship. Now it's not
Specifically
just
worship music.
Yes, worship music. Sorry, for worship music. And so we can talk more about it. Doug, why don't you tell us when we say warrior worship today, what is that? We're not worshiping warriors. This is about, what is this about?
Very simply, when you watch a music video that's done by Warrior Worship, what you'll see right at the beginning is empowering leaders, magnifying Jesus. And about 12 years ago, for years and years, when we would have these feedback forms from at the end of Warrior Leadership Summit, the kids just kept saying, we want to be able to bring home the worship experience with us. We had, and it happened so many years, it was requested so many times. I had a background in music. Jesse has a big background in music, an amazing, talented guy. And we just said maybe we should give this a shot. And without going into all the details, we went and talked with an amazing producer, a guy who actually played with Mercy Me, and is a highly sought producer. We're like, he'll never do it. He doesn't know who we are. He heard Native America. He already had that kind of idea for ministry in his heart. The Lord really put it together at a cheesecake factory.
Wow.
Where the Lord moves.
Then you know it's blessed.
You know
man.
it's blessed. And so the idea, just the bottom line really is there are so many Native American young people that have amazing giftings in lots of ways.
Oh, yeah.
But in many ways, just the creativity, this is an artistic, Native Americans are known to be amazing artisans and artists. And that includes music. And it's sad. Sometimes you'll hear, we'll at Warrior Leadership Summit, there's a kind of a talent show, and you'll hear a Native American brother or sister singing or playing guitar, and you go, that is an amazing voice. What a gift they have. And that's the only time, like that one time that anyone knows and hears it. And that's just a crime to me. So we'll go and we'll ask them, hey, would you like to be involved with this warrior worship? So we've seen over the last 11 years, this was our 11th project. Every year we do an original worship music project where Jesse and I and our Native friends write the music, record the music, and then lead it at Warrior Leadership Summit and in other places during the year. And what we've seen is now many Native young people being brought up in their gifts. the Lord really working in their life. And now we're seeing them doing the same thing as God tends to do with other Native leaders that have musical giftings. And then, of course, but the most bottom line is to honor our great Savior and hopefully write songs. What's great about being able, well, why do it? Why do an original? Why write these yourself? We're able to write specifically for our audience of Native American young people and some of the things they go through, and then applying the truths of Scripture and our Savior into those songs. What about you, Jesse?
Well, yeah, I actually have a question for Jesse here, but I'm going to give you a second to think about it because they don't know. Doug and Jesse don't know all the questions I'm going to ask here today. So, Jesse, my question just a moment for you is, what's one story you've seen with a Native young person who's been involved with warrior worship projects and just kind of what you've seen happen in their lives? So I'm going to Jesse for that in just a moment.
I'm going to give Jesse a couple seconds to think about that and say, stay tuned, because how we get to this point is quite a story, and you're going to hear things for your own ideas for your own walk and the own questions you might be having about what God is asking you to do in your life.
This is like one of those stories where you see the ending and then you go the 60 days prior or whatever. So we're getting to that in just a moment, because I did want you to hear what it is that we're talking about first. And I would encourage you right now, I'll mention this at the end again. You can look up warrior worship on any of the popular music platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, all that. You can find it on YouTube. You want to make sure that you're checking this out, because it's worship music that's a little different. There's some kind of classic, new takes on classic hymns, but there's also a lot of originals that are done it's not just this light, fluffy lyrics. I mean, a lot of these songs are theologically rich and have almost a callback to some hymns because of the theological depth to them. And but they're fun too, and they're rockers, and there's ballads, and there's all sorts of stuff in the mix. So don't miss out on checking out Warrior Worship.
Or go to oneagleswings.com, and you can actually see all of the videos in one place as Jesse is opening his mouth, breathing in.
Yeah, Jesse,
ready?
Talk to me. What's one that comes to mind for you?
Well, there's the two aspects of what we get to do, in that there's the people in front of us that we get to minister to, that we get to serve, the people who come to the conference, the warriors we call them, ministering to them in song and thinking of lyrics that what do they need to hear. That's one aspect of it that's really amazing. And then the other aspect is, like Doug was alluding to, every year. It's shifted over the years in terms of who plays music and who writes for Warrior Leadership Summit, but just seeing God provide not only who we need, but really give us some cool surprises along the way in terms of, so-and-so wrote this song. Wow, this is great. Let's do this. Or, let's have this. Oh, this person, let's have them sing this year. This is, and just seeing God fill in what we need when we need it in order to serve the conference well. It's been really cool.
More and more our Native friends are saying, hey, we'd love to have you hear this song. You think that could be on the project? And that's what's exciting to me, is how many more songs now are that way. And I'll tell you this real quick. When you see our Native brothers and sisters in Christ worshiping God through song together, there are times I just have to catch my breath. I'm up there helping lead, but what God is doing in those moments is so powerful. And spiritually, the only word I've got is spiritually majestic, that I have to catch my breath and not just start bawling because of how great God is, and how our friends, the warriors are going, I can do this and I can serve where I am, because I've got others that love him just like I do.
It really is a tremendous moment to see that in the room. And it is, Jesse, what you mentioned as far as some of the involvement of people writing and everything else. because I want people to, this is one takeaway today. So if you're jotting down notes, jot this down, that you may be one of the people that you have a gift that you've been hiding. Maybe it's because other people have said some things to you that cause you to be insecure about it, and so you're hiding it. Maybe it's because you're just shy, and you're like, I don't want to let this out there. But we have seen, even at the On Eagles Wings Leadership Center, and certainly through Warrior Worship, that when people are given an opportunity to express these gifts, the things that we see, it's just like, why weren't you doing something with this sooner? So don't shortchange the gifts and talents God has given you. And that's where I want to get to next here, is when you look at Matthew 25, you read the story of the talents, and you see that there are these gifts, these talents that God gives to people. And it's like, what did you do with this? And it's like, well, I used it. Well, I hid it. And it's going through this and saying, so what are we supposed to do with these talents? Doug, let me start with you, because in people that are trying to figure out God's will in their lives and everything, you've got quite the God's will journey. And I know it's going to be tough to summarize this, but
I'll do it as fast as I can.
Yeah, take us back, because your story was not one where even you realized the talent that God had given you at first.
Sometimes God will tap you on the shoulder and ask you to try something, and don't just blow that off. The headline, the movie title, "Many Are the Plans in a Man's Heart." So I'm going to do this as briefly as I can. I was very much into high school sports, specifically football. It was everything at that point in my life. It was my God. I hate that it was, but it was an idol, I should say. Had a terrible leg injury, couldn't play anymore. Depressed about it. What is going on? How could this happen? My friend Jim, who was a believer, a few years older than me, tapped me on the shoulder at a pizza place one day, and he says, "Hey, you're supposed to sing in our band." I went, well, there's a couple problems here. Let's start with, I've never sung before, which means you've never heard me sing before. How could you possibly think this is a good idea? He said, you know what? I heard about what happened. I mean, I've got this huge leg brace on. And he says, I'm telling you, I really feel like God wants you to do this. I have nothing else to do. I'll give it a shot. You can hear how bad I am, and we'll move on. I didn't know what he was doing, but I'll give it a shot. Took a leap. It turned into a little something. It's high school, nothing great, but enough where I really started to develop a love for music and for writing. By the way, we had 3 band names.
You did?
3 different band names. They'll always change when you're in a high school band. One was Fire by Night. Mm-hmm. The one we had the longest was Long Shot. Mm-hmm. But perhaps the crowd favorite, my personal favorite, was Monkey Sweat.
I wish we would have kept that.
Look, it was high school. You know what? But
Jesse's he's processing right now.
How did you go from those 2 kind of normal names to what?
Yeah, I don't know.
Where did Long Shot come from? Oh wait, meant the Monkey Sweat.
I did. I meant no.
You know what? It's but it's a good example of just obeying God when He's telling you. Jim didn't know me super well, and God said, "Tap that guy in the shoulder, and tell him this," and he did. And
so the pause there, real quick. If God puts it on your heart, you're listening.
Yes,
if God puts it on
even
your
if it
heart,
doesn't make a ton of sense,
you could make a difference in someone's life by giving them an opportunity that God tells you to do, even if it makes no sense at the time.
And then if God's giving you peace in your heart about it, and you say, okay, I will try this. This seems like it's from the Lord. It might sound crazy, but it doesn't mean it's not from Him. So I'll stop there from now, but there are some more cool details.
And you also learned guitar then in high school too.
Learned guitar, yeah. Yes, exactly. You know, I remember wanting God when it was time to. Brad, is it time to discuss the next step, getting out to a reservation or
soon?
You're leading
this. I want to hear Jesse. Where I actually
see Jesse's behind me right now.
I don't fully know the answer to this, Jesse. Where did your kind of music involvement start? Just in your life, where did that interest come from?
Well, when I was a teenager, I was. This is gonna sound so ridiculous.
You saw a band called Monkey Sweat live.
Well, Monkey Sweat and it
that
inspired
was
me, and I just had to make music.
That's too good.
I was more into the technology and the recording and that side of things. I had a really old computer and had some music software on it, and I learned the software before I learned much about music.
Okay.
And so I really loved I collected vinyl. I was like I liked the idea of like DJing and everything that goes along with that. And so I didn't really know much about music, but I knew some about recording and about, I guess you could say, production. Just a little. And it was bad. So that kind of was on hold for a good while in my early adulthood until we started Warrior Worship. And essentially, I don't remember how it happened, Doug, but maybe you went, oh, you have, some experience with recording? And I was like, yeah, I do. I got so much.
I remember that's exactly how you said it.
I was, and really had to grow leaps and bounds through what we did in Warrior Worship.
So when did you learn
you said
keyboard?
yes. You said yes.
I did. I said yes.
That's really good right there.
I always tell people I hack my way through playing keys. And that largely came, necessity is the mother of invention, being like, well, we have to, play this thing for the album. So let me just figure out how to play it. And so it kind of went from there.
So and now, I love that what you said there, Doug.
Let me say this now. Jesse won't say this about himself, and he'll probably try to run in here and cover my mouth.
I will do it.
Say it. But not only I, but the folks who work with him, our producer, our engineers, the everyone that works with Jesse has now become, just by saying yes, he is an incredible, excellent recorder of music, writer of music, performer of music, and I'll bet he would say it didn't start out that way, but just from saying yes. And it's interesting that he gave Jesse these ideas and these interests. See, that's the thing, is God's not always going to. He gives us these passions and these loves in our heart. And we might have a plan for what we want to do with that, but so does he. And the trick is going, he didn't give me these giftings and these interests for randomly. He gave them to me for a reason. And by saying yes to opportunities that he gives you to serve him, you not only find out where he wants you to go, but you find out what he's capable of doing through you. It's the loaves and the fish, man. Jesse and I both say there are people more gifted than us, but you bring what he gives you to him, and he makes it so much more.
I actually love what Jesse did on Dust on this year's album. So you should go check it out. I really
that's
like
right.
that. The whole album's great. That one I had not heard going into it, and
that's a powerful one.
So Doug, I'm going to be the guy that's got to try to keep us on track for time here. But tell us, so from everything God led you to in high school and into college and everything, how did you wind up really using this gifting specifically in ministry with Native America?
So I grew up in suburban New Jersey, and
so that's not the answer. Okay.
This is the thing. This is the thing. So grew up in suburban New Jersey. Ended up at Wheaton College, so suburban Chicago, there to a desert reservation.
Very desert.
Very, very desert. I remember when God, I had a completely different plan. My plan was, once I really got into music, was at Wheaton College, I was like, I'm going to go to Nashville and become a big CCM artist, and it'll be great, and travel the country and everything. And God went, yeah, but here's the thing, not Nashville, about 1,000 miles or so west of that to this reservation. And I really remember going, God, well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And you know what my heart is? And he said, just trust me on this. And I'm glad I did. I had wonderful family and friends around me encouraging me to listen. And I remember wanting God to give me a lot more of the details, by the way. Okay, well, how am I going to use this gift? And where am I going to live? And all those things. And all I could get from him was, trust me on this. I'll tell you where you're supposed to go. I'll tell you who you're supposed to start with there as far as working with, but that's it. You're just supposed to go. I'll fill in the rest once you get there. So if you're listening today, like, well, I'll just wait until he's given me more of the contract details. So much of the time, I remember Dad telling me when I was asking him about this, he said, the way God works so much when you're trying to figure out his will is see a step, take a step. See a step, take a step. He'll tell you the next step, take it, and then he'll tell you the next one. And so if you're waiting on obedience until the Lord tells you the details, he simply is probably not going to until you've taken the steps he's asking you to take. He won't give you the whole battle plan, but he'll give you the next step. Just as a side note here, the best way to know God's will is to get your mind out of the world and into the Word. Romans 12:2, don't conform to the pattern of this world. So if you're trying to figure out what is God's will, he tells us. He said, did you know you can test and approve what my will is? You can know it. In fact, the Bible says we can have the mind of Christ. You can test and approve God's will, his good, pleasing, and perfect will by letting the Word transform you. So, New Jersey to, not New Jersey to Nashville, Wheaton to an Arizona Native American reservation in the middle of a desolate desert to start a local youth ministry to then going to many reservations with a Christian rock band to bring the gospel to bring the gospel all over the country and into Canada that way, and then to the Ozarks to a worship music movement with my insanely gifted friend Jesse and lots of Native friends to now presidential leadership of said Hutchcraft Ministries ministry. Just like I drew it up.
Just like you drew it up. That's right. There we go. Oh, my goodness. Yours, the lines you just drew probably would have intersected with the lines that you had for yourself at, well, no point. But
no point.
I think that there's some things that we'll need to wrap up pretty soon here. But, Jesse, I've got a question for you as far as I'm giving you a heads up again. Something you've learned about following God's will in all of this. When you look at when the music ministry you started out in Arizona, you guys were on a record label, same first label that Third Day was on. You had charting Christian rock songs. You had hits on the Christian charts and everything. But all of that, you weren't going to tour. You made that clear. Your goal through that was just to be able to use it as a vehicle to bring the hope of Jesus to Native young people. And that's what you did. Like you said, you did. You could have been playing, you won't say this about yourself, just like you were saying things about Jesse and his giftings, where you could have used them to be much more popular, well-known, whatever it would be, but you were more content in a room with 30 Native young people who came out to learn more about Jesus than you were in, because I saw you in rooms where there were hundreds of kind of just a typical youth group setting, and you liked those too, but you came alive in the others, and that's what you continue to do with Warrior Worship. You continue to say, I want this to help lead Native young people closer to Jesus. Jesse, what's something you've learned in this journey?
Well, the more that I've learned, the less confident I become in my foresight, my understanding of how things are going to play out, like Doug was saying. I mean, just like I drew it up,
Totally.
right? But there is one thing that does stick out to me that I feel like has gotten under my skin to some degree, and it's to serve in the capacity that God has given me today. Get my eyes out of the binoculars, God's will. 2 years off, 5 years off, 10 years off, that it's good to have a plan, but in some respects, it's none of my business. What has God given me to do today? Who are and specifically, who are the people that God has put right in front of me to serve? I want to see them. So often I think the way God's will is painted is that people are treated like stepping stones to get to where I need to be in God's will. And it's the people right in front of me that are God's will for me today. And that's what I so want to stay focused on and not get worried about what does God's will look like 2 steps or 3 steps down the road. Who has God given me to serve today?
And that is blowing me away. And that is how, boy, using people as stepping stones, serve the person in front of you. And that's your obedience. And by the way, a cool side thing, God's going to inform you along the way. That's going to lead to this, that's going to lead to this. Not as stepping stones, because that's such a great point, but serving him with the gifts you have today, right now, rather than I'll put this in gear, I'll let people know what I'm made of once I've hit this point in my plan. God just doesn't work that way. We wish he would sometimes, but he just doesn't.
I'm going to ask you guys one more question in just a second. It's a song or two you think people would be like, man, I love this one person. I would love to encourage people to check it out because we've said you can check out Warrior Worship on Spotify, on Apple Music, all these places, on eagleswings.com. But if they're like, man, where do I start? Because there's 11 albums now. Where do they start? So I'll go to that in just a second. But just to recap some of the things you've heard, God's will is surprising. God's will is exciting. God's will take you places where you're just like, wow, I can't believe what I would have missed if I hadn't taken those first steps. What Jesse shared about letting God's will lead you to the today moments. What does God want me to do today? Who does he want me to serve today? To be willing to take risks. We also talked about being able to go out there and say, I need to follow his will to encourage someone else, or maybe to let my gifts shine a little bit more how he wants me to, not to do it for prideful reasons or anything else, but with humility, but to say, Lord, here are my gifts. What do you want to do with them? So there's a lot that we've covered today about God's will and following God's will and the importance of that and the surprises of it. But as we wrap up here, Jesse, Doug, what's a couple songs, 1 or 2 songs that come to mind that you're like, man, if people were checking something, this is one of the ones that I love to go to?
Jesse.
No, Doug, you go first.
That was a tough one.
No, I won't go first. I'm just kidding. I'll go first.
Yeah.
Our albums really are quite diverse musically. Some of them are a lot more kind of straightforward, what you'd think of as modern worship music. A lot of it's more pop, and a lot of it's somewhere in between. If you wanted to listen to something that maybe your church could sing along to, Hope of All the World is a great one that Doug wrote a few years ago. There's one this year called On Eagle's Wings that I think, it really ties in with the ministry that we have here. If you're going to go more just for listening, Doug wrote one a few years ago called Forgiven, and I've always felt like that one is possibly the most broadly appealing song that we've done in terms of just musically and stuff. So that's what I'll go with.
There's one song called Upon the Rock that Jesse wrote that, I think we've been singing it for maybe 5 or 6 years, and it always, when we have to choose songs, it's always on there. It's this incredible, it's kind of sparse musically. There's a vocal and there's some keys, and but it's all about, no matter what is going on in your life, no matter what the craziness is, I stand on the rock. I will always return to Jesus. And that has just resonated in a huge way with the young people there. There's a song called Rebels that...
I was going to mention that if you did.
It's more of a rock song.
It's going to be for certain churches out there, but I love
it's
it.
not. We write theme songs.
Yes,
and
based on the theme every year of Warrior Leadership Summit. Yeah.
So WLS one year was rebels, and not, of course, being rebellious, but being a rebel against what the world is telling you to do, and Jesus going against the grain. Some people would say just that. If you are going to, if you're going to listen, the further the world gets along here, if you're going to listen to God and obey Him, you are a rebel. So the song is basically, for some reason, every year we can't get away from
one
not
of
playing
the favorites of the Warriors for sure.
But it's interesting because I don't think it's because so much the music or anything like that. It's because the message of it is that no matter what, you have to be willing to take a stand for Jesus Christ, no matter what your environment is. And some of these young people come from, if you know our ministry in Native American, you know anything about Native America, they come from some of the most difficult, awful, just sometimes the background, some dysfunction in family and there's can be a lot of abuse around and everything. But the bottom line is, no matter what people are saying about this Jesus, I take a stand for him. And that's so as I'm actually discussing it right now, it's interesting. Upon the Rock and Rebels both have that theme that no matter what, I'm sticking with Jesus. And I think that that's the heart in a lot of ways of Warrior Leadership Summit.
And it's the heart of following God's will. Sticking with Jesus.
Yeah.
You didn't mean to do that, but you did that.
Can we rewind? I would
also encourage you to check out Light Up the Night. That's always been a favorite as well. I always love that one. There's so many good ones out there. I've got ones racing through my head, but
that's the only song I think that we have done the last 10 years in a row.
Yeah,
it came out early.
And that your church may want to sing that one too. But there are, and actually I do think on the On Eagles Wings website, there's some chords and everything, I think, for Warrior Worship songs. Right. Actually, we don't hold that back. So there you go. This is all fantastic. My hope is that you guys, as you're listening and thinking about God's will for your life, that you'll also find some new tunes here to jam out to this summer. What time for a great summer fun playlist? Because there's some fun songs. There's some deep, meaningful songs. Check out Warrior Worship. Wherever you're finding your music, check out Warrior Worship. Don't look for it on vinyl yet. We would love to someday, actually. Great. But we are so glad you joined us for this podcast today. This is one small story from Doug and Jesse's lives. There's so much more God has done in and through them, but I really asked them. I had to push a little bit to do this today because I really wanted to hear their
about
stories.
Us?
It is so much to learn about following and knowing and doing God's will in this story.
Just trust him.
So keep listening to him this summer, and we'll be back in touch with this soon with another guest here on Go M.A.D with Doug and Brad. So until next time, Go M.A.D.